Actually thought that a good marriage will just happen by chance. Like once you're just prayerful, good people, it's just going to happen like that. But getting married, I was met with the shocker of my life. Now the two of us were actually
wait till the shocker. What do you mean? Wait till the shocker.
When we got married, I felt like we would just like agree on everything. Like once I just say something, my husband would just say, "Wow, wisdom."
Even me, I felt if I just give my wife a business idea, but
you
I said,
understand,
let's go.
like wisdom. I was really that expectant, but I got married and I realized that in fact, it wasn't even before we even got married. I just noticed that he's coming up with the suggestions, and they're just a part of me that is like, "Kilon, so what are you talking about here?"
My wife stubborn for those first few days or first few months.
So we had a lot of conflict, agreeing on things, as in we seemed not to be able. One of the statements I made a lot was that, why is it that we just cannot agree on something? We couldn't. We were just always, it will be arguments and all of that, and we are both assertive people.
Though your wife is assertive, she's the one that's preacher, but shouting, preacher, and everything. That woman can be a cry baby in the house.
Hey.
I remember when I to my wife. Oh Lord have mercy. Small to my wife don't cry. Small to she don't. My man like wait to. He's not the woman that will go and be preaching. The Lord said, "You need to be a woman of virtue. You need to be this." Listen, you don't love me. I what did they do this baby cry baby? We argued or something. It's not like I even insulted you. We just arguing. You vex my vex you back. Next thing, she's crying. My man, what did you do this one? You know, like, you're even walking away. I said, your cry is irritating me. That's why I'm walking away. So I don't even get more angry. She's like, no, you should be holding me. I said, God, which kind of wild is this one? I remember I should go and report to the pastor. I would just be looking like, I don't understand. I wish I knew. Your wife can be strong outside, but inside the house, she wants to be a baby for you.
Want to be a baby girl. What do you mean?
This is the talk. Calm down. My wife had some health issues, PCOS, and some other symptoms. And one of the symptoms was that it made her belly bloat. And her belly was getting bigger and bigger. At some point, I was like, God, what is this? Like, me and my wife will go out. Some people will be telling her, congratulations, you are pregnant. I'm like, come on. Who said you messy? This woman is not pregnant. People will have to explain. In fact, there was one that happened recently. Oh, God, that man, sha. We were going to church. We were climbing staircase. The man just turned, elderly man, just told to my wife. I better say it the way he said it. I can't remember the way he said it.
Why you did it?
Say it now.
Okay, so... So I wore heels that day, of course, and so this man is very mature, elderly, quite elderly.
Maybe like 70 or 60 years old.
Yeah, no, 60K.
Okay.
So older than that. So he just took it personal and just said, "Madam, didn't they tell you in antenatal not to wear heels?" I was shocked. I was like, antenatal bow, like from where to where? I was trying to coordinate,
and it was audible.
It was audible. People were wondering. So at that point, I just smiled. I just said, "Oh, thank you, sir." So I had to leave. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe so that more people can see this video and also be blessed, impacted by the wisdom that flows from here. So today we're going to be talking about things that we wished we knew before we got married. That is, we as a couple. Of course, in the course of our marriage, we began to take an inventory, just looking back at our journey, looking back at the things that if we were to go back in time, what are things that we would do differently. And so one of the things we really began to do was look at, okay, what are the things that we wished we knew before we got married? And one of those things is that I for one actually thought that a good marriage would just happen by chance. Like once you're just prayerful, good people, it's just going to happen like that. But getting married, I was met with the shocker of my life. Now the two of us were actually
wait till the shocker. What do you mean? Wait till the shocker.
That good marriage doesn't just happen by chance.
Okay.
There's a level of intentionality that needs to come to play. So when we got married, I felt like we would just like agree on everything. Like once I just say something, my husband would just say, "Wow, wisdom." Even me,
I felt if I just give my wife a business idea, but
you
I said,
understand,
let's go.
like wisdom. I was really that expectant, but I got married and I realized that in fact, it wasn't even before we even got married. I just noticed that he's coming up with the suggestions, and they're just a part of me that is like, "Kilon, so what are you talking about here?"
My wife stubborn for those first few days or first few months.
I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I beg. I'm not in. And so because I was coming with that kind of energy, of course, he now was rubbing off on him differently and all of that. And so we had a lot of conflict, agreeing on things. As in, we seemed not to be able. One of the statements I made a lot was that, why is it that we just cannot agree on something? We couldn't. We were just always, it will be arguments and all of that. And we are both assertive people.
If I was going to say that, both strong.
So we are both strong-willed. We've come up with, in fact, we have similar traits. We have strong choleric to an extent. We are assertive. We can be headstrong. We are strongly opinionated. Like, we're the kind of people that if we are for an opinion about something, to shift us away from that, it go hard. In fact, one of the statements is people used to make is that, why are the two of you always headed in the same direction? And it's because of that. So I just assumed that because we were spiritual people, pastors, we were pastoring, because when we got married, I was into church planting there. So when we got married, we just planted. Our pastor sent us to a location, so we got an accommodation there, and we planted the church there and everything. So I just had the assumption, we are a prayerful couple now. We speak in tongues. We go to church. We pastor. Everything's gonna work. It wasn't working. It was not working, and for a long time it was not working. So in the course of that, of course, we didn't know what we know now. We didn't know then. All right. So we had a lot of struggles. I had a lot of constantly calling my pastor, complaining, and he would be laughing at me because he's looking at me and he's saying, for me, if only you know that all these things you're complaining about will still be there years from now. You have to know how to adapt and all of that. So in the course of the marriage, I realized that something needed to change, and what needed to change, some level of intentionality needed to come in. And what was that intentionality? I had to go into the scripture to really understand what submission means, because that was one area I struggled with. Because in my mind, I always juxtaposed submission and subjugation. And I felt like whenever my husband is talking about submission, when you start talking about submission, I tune off. Like, mentally, I've tuned off. I don't want to hear. And why? Because I saw some marriages that did not work well, and it failed under the guise of the woman was submissive, you understand? So I began to study what is submission, and I realized that what submission really meant was totally what I knew. And so I had to relearn. I had to understand that, look, accepting his leadership is important for this marriage, and I have to learn to embrace that. Sometimes he might suggest some things that I might not like, but just buy into it. Just receive it first. Like, don't be, because I will hack it the moment he has not even finished. I'm like, it can't work, and he will now want to prove to me, he cannot work. I will do it for it to work. So that was what I had to do.
So for me, I was just remembering that one thing that made me fall in love with her was the assertiveness. When I hear her preach, I'm like, that my wife be preaching. She'll be spitting fire and everything. My current marriage, that same thing that got me attracted. Or now look like someone you go talk one, you know what you do. Me and her were trying to, maybe we were somewhere, and I'm trying to solve problem. My wife would just feel like this man, but they talk too nicely. She would just come and everything. So one of the first, I call it, is it a mistake we call it again, or things we knew, which we knew was that your wife is assertive in this way. Does not mean that, in fact, two aspects of it. One, that your wife is assertive doesn't mean that, number one, that assertiveness will always favor you. Because there's some times that assertiveness will not be over. Before you talk one, she don't talk two. Not necessarily to me. Maybe we're trying to solve problem outside. Then the second part of that thing is that though your wife is assertive, she's the one that's preaching, but shouting, preacher, and everything. That woman can be a cry baby in the house. Hey. I remember I my wife. Oh Lord have mercy. Small thing, my wife don't cry. Small thing, she don't. My man like, wait, it's not the woman that will go and be preaching. The Lord said, you need to be a woman of virtue. You need to be this. Listen, you don't love me. What did they do this baby? Cry baby. I grew up seeing my sisters, 4 sisters, at least 3 of them that were mature, strong women, people, worry women. More small thing. Then when she's not crying, she now expects me to come and pamper her. Meanwhile, in my mind, you don't even vex me, say you don't even cry. There should not be pampering. It's okay, my love. No, quarreling. It's not like she just cried because she's going through tough time. We argued or something. It's not like I even insulted you. We just arguing. You vex me, I vex you back. Next thing, she's crying. My mom, what do you do this one? You know, like, you're even walking away. I said, your cries irritates me. That's why I'm walking away. So I don't even get more angry. She's like, no, you should be holding me. I said, God, which kind of wild is this one? I remember I should go and report to the pastor. I would just be looking like, I don't understand. I wish I knew that this lady should have cry, make her even know. Because me, my mind, I don't like all this cry, whatever. But now I realize that, see, your wife can be strong outside. But inside the house, she wants to be a baby for you.
Want to be a baby girl? What do you mean?
This is the talk. Calm down. So, but I know better now. So now, if she cries, I try as much as possible. Like, no, fine. She says don't change now.
They cry.
Those days, they cry. They cry. Oh God,
I don't hard.
But if I not soften now,
I don't hard.
So that's one thing I wish I knew better. Then she had to undo the situation back then.
Oh my God. So, you know, another thing I wish I knew was that I wish someone had schooled me well on conflict. So because before we got married, even before I met him, I always, from well-meaning people anyway, I will hear, we don't quarrel. we don't argue. We don't fight. In fact, there was one, I don't want to mention the name.
What's wrong with the bishop? You said it now. Say it.
You know, I remember then in school, he said that, you know, he and his wife have never fought. They've never had an issue. That they don't step on each other's toes. Shebi is when you put your leg on the road that somebody will step on the toes. So I had this mindset that, look, any marriage that the husband and the wife have an argument is a failed marriage.
Or constant argument.
Or constant argument is a failed or failing marriage. So, you know, when he was talking about my crying was actually because I was feeling like this marriage was failing. So, whenever we had those heated arguments, right, those times of not being happy with each other, the cry was from a place of, but God, this is not what I saw. This is not what you said. What is going on? Why is it that the two of us are not agreeing? But I'm so sure we're supposed to be together. Why are we having this heat? And so I felt like this marriage was failing. But I wish somebody had told me that conflict, and that is why today, even though I do general marriage counseling and couple therapy, my niche and area of specialization is in conflict resolution and conflict management. I've walked couples out of some wrong mindsets that they've had about conflict. So I had to unlearn. I wish someone had told me that there's conflict. Your conflict is actually because both of you have two worldviews.
Yeah, it's part of life.
It's life. It's not because both of you are bad or because your marriage is bad. It's that you think like this, he thinks like this. And when you are coming together as a couple, you now have to fuse your life together. You have to okay, even though this is your view, this is my view, how do we come together and come up with our view? Yeah. So it's no longer just going to be, this is my stand, I'm going to do it my way. I wish someone schooled me. I wish someone sat me down and said for me, conflict in your marriage does not mean your marriage is weak or your marriage is failing. It only shows differing opinions. So how to manage it is what you both now need to talk about. And so even some of the things that you are complaining about, oh, he doesn't do this, he does not do that, she does not do this, those things will be there even 20 years after.
Yeah.
So, but how you handle it, you need to start thinking adaptation. How do I adapt? There are people in Nigeria, people complain, Nigeria, but we have adapted. We adapt every day to things. You understand? So that's wrong. That mindset I had about conflict, argument, and not being in alliance like that. Those things were the things that made me unhappy at the initial stage of our marriage. That made me feel like there was something so wrong. And I wish someone had just told me that, look, for me, you're just being dramatic. Mm-hmm. Okay, so which one?
So for me, another thing I wish I knew before we got married is the fact that one of the things that gets men we get attracted to is physical attributes, right? Yeah. I never thought that. Physical attributes, right? And in your mind, you don't look, okay, what are the things I like? Some people, na chest they like. Some people na bum. Some people must be everything. Some people share whatever they like. Now, of course, I entered married with the fact that thank God I get what I like. Now, I wish somebody had told me, you see this thing where they like now. If you be maybe 5 years time, body go down the change. You understand? or sometimes it could not even be, it could even be beyond what can be explained, health challenges. I wish somebody had told me, like for me, for example, I never thought my belly could ever be big, because till 30 years I had flat belly. It's not like my belly is so big like that, but it's not where I want
I'm
to
still
be.
like, because my
When
brother
I
used to
talk your,
torment.
when I talk your own now, you go, no, your mouth is sharp. Anyway, along the line, we had some health issues. I'm sure we're going to do a video, talk about it.
Yeah.
So my wife had some health issues, PCOS, and some other symptoms. And one of the symptoms was that it made her belly bloat. And her belly was getting bigger and bigger. At some point, I was like, God, what is this? Like, me and my wife will go out. Some people will be telling her, congratulations, you are pregnant. I'm like, come on. Who said you messy? This woman is not pregnant. People will have to explain. In fact, there was one that happened recently. Oh, God, that man, sha. We were going to church. We were climbing staircase. The man just turned, elderly man, just turned to my wife. I bet say it the way he said it. I can't remember the way he said it.
Why you doing this?
Say it now.
Okay, so so I wore heels that day, of course, and so this man is very mature, elderly, quite elderly.
Maybe like 70 or 60 years old.
Yeah, no, 60K.
Okay.
So older than that. So he just took it personal, just said, "Madam, didn't they tell you in antenatal not to wear heels?" I was shocked. I was like, antenatal bow, like from where to where? I was trying to coordinate,
and it was audible.
It was audible. People were wondering. So at that point, I just smiled. I just said, "Oh, thank you, sir." So I had to leave.
I said, at that point, I felt like grabbing the man. Like, but also, a part of me felt like, if only this belly safe. But guess what? The reason I'm saying this is that over the years, I had to work on my mind. And I wish somebody told me that, guy, expect things can happen. I had to work on my mind because it used to cause quarrel at the early stage of a marriage. I used to feel like you must do something, you must jog and everything. But you see, now I've told myself, if the belly no go down, if you go down, I'm going to love my wife the way she is. It doesn't mean that I don't wish it to go down. It doesn't mean that if there's something she can do, I won't push her and encourage her. But I'm saying that it's part of what I've come to accept, that it is life. Some things will happen. It's like my wife, for example, now getting married. Now feel like I bow down. I'm like, what is this? How this like men with their whatever. Let me do the bow there. So you need to understand that some things would naturally happen with age. And that is life. I wish somebody had told me that, see, you see all these physical attributes that young people were interested in and everything. Guess what? You know that at the point in time, I didn't realize that most of our mothers, that they look big, Yoruba women, Delta women, or whatever tribe, they look like, the way mothers look. I used to think that all of them were like that growing up, they were all big. It's recently that I began to realize that, all these our mothers, they were actually prim and proper. But either childbirth or age or whatever reasons now made them the way they are. And the husbands have to accept it and life moves on. I wish somebody had told me that. But thank God, I know better today. And they love each other with our big belly and bow there like that.
Oh God, why are you like this? Okay, so my own last point on this, if I touched about it, this whole body thing, and it is that no season. First of all, I wish someone had told me that marriage, there are different seasons. So in marriage, some seasons come, some seasons to go. Like for instance, I never in my wildest dream ever thought I would get married and I will have to battle the things I battled medically in marriage. I never thought. It never occurred to me. So those were also part of the things that affected me at some point in our marriage, because it affected my body, and after a while it affected my esteem of myself. It was just not good. But thank God that phase is over and all that. So but the point is that I wish someone had told me that, see, every season comes with its challenge, but look, no season is gonna last forever in marriage, because there were seasons in our marriage that looked like it was going to be forever. Like, oh my God. I remember that. I'll be like, God, when is this season going to be over? When are we going to break through? When are we going to? It was not funny. And because like I said, I got into marriage with this expectation that, I even wanted to say this word, that, now that you have found me, you have found favor. But I'm seeing the opposite play out. I'm not seeing the favor. I began to feel like a failure. Oh my God. So those were kind of like wrong mindsets. I had to unlearn that. I had to realize that no, that is not even what that scripture means, but we're not going there. And I had to begin to unlearn That is, sometimes you get married here, some challenges will come up. But as long as you stay with the word of God and you commit to unlearning, ask yourself, this mindset that I have about this area of the marriage, how is this serving me? Is it helping us? What am I supposed to do differently? And so I began to unlearn a lot of those things. I began to unlearn that, look, I can do something about this season, because I actually felt seasons will just change by themselves. Like we'll just sleep and wake up and one day that season is over. No, I had to realize, look, for this season to change, I have to partner with God. There are things I must do intentionally. I began to do them, and today, that season like is over, like gone for life. So that is something I wish I knew.
So lastly, for me, one thing I wish I knew was plan better financially. I've always been a man of faith in terms of we don't get money, we go do ministry-wise on campus. We'll be having programs as a fellowship pastor. We don't have money, but we'll do it. We'll go and look for venue. We'll do things will work out eventually. And I've always approached life that way. So I approached marriage that same way. I didn't have savings. I didn't have steady income. I didn't even have like maybe projects that I would say that I'm doing that maybe I was expecting a huge flow of money. All I knew at that time was that I found the one I want to get married. And we're going to get married. As I look back, I'm telling you, I didn't have savings. How do I explain it? People say, okay, you want to get married. That's okay. How much do you have? It's okay, maybe I have 10 million, I have 5 million. I'm believing God for more money. I didn't have. It was so bad that when one of my sisters found out, she was like, you want to get married? I said, do you have money? They knew I didn't have. One of them had to come and tell her behind me that, see, in case this guy has lied to you, he does not have 𝐴𝐵𝐼. I did not really have. In fact, not really. I did not have. But I still got into my, thank God provided, thank God showed himself faithful. God will always do that.
Yeah.
He's a father. But see, God's plan is not for us to be moving from miracle to miracle, because the marriage was by miracle. Most of the things that came into the house was by miracle. Before you knew it, everything was by miracle. Pay rent by miracle. Looking by your life was not God's best. Today, I'd rather be the one to be paying rent for other people. Let God use me to do the miracle for other people. Does not mean that I don't want somebody to bless me or God to bring a miracle. But I don't want the miracle to be because I was in a crisis. I couldn't pay my rent. I couldn't do this. No. When our child came, the first child came, it was a struggle to pay the bills, hospital bills, because tomorrow we're not even planning for CS, and it came through CS and everything. Yeah. But if I had planned better, because then my photography business, I'd abandoned it, focusing on ministry, which was another mistake I made and the rest. But if somebody had called me and said, you know what, let's analyze your finances. You're not doing well at all. You want to get married. How do you intend to meet the bills? How do you intend, okay, can you try to do something else? Maybe go start Uber or whatever, at least to augment the dead photography business, or tell me that you are putting too much attention on ministry. Take some of those time and do this. You can still do ministry. It's not like you are at 𝐬𝐫𝐤𝐿 level, Bishop 𝐬𝐬𝐿 level, where you need all the time and the rest. Do you understand? I wish somebody had told me, and that is what I know better today. And I tell people, see, I'm still a man of faith. I still believe that don't wait till you have all the money before you get married. By the way, that's not what we're saying. We're not saying that you must have anything. No, you're still going to operate by faith. But while you are doing it, you must balance faith with sense.
Balance.
And that was one mistake I made. Today, our lives are better because we're planning better. Now, the school fees of the next term, we're planning. We're not waiting to where school fees. Now we realize, hey, school fees. In fact, my wife used to tell me, why do you wait till when things happen? You now look as if
that was one of our major issues, because he was a last minute person and all of that. But me, I'm not a last minute person. I'm the kind of person that I like. So it was one of our issues, but funny enough, now he has. In
fact, just some minutes, before we started this video, we're in the kitchen. I just thought, I know what, this is where I want things to be. Let's be having set of this, set of that. Let's go beyond next year, or even from now. We want to be having bulk. We did some bulk buying. In fact, we'll talk about it in the next video. We did some bulk buying. I felt like this is really good. Now I'm a better planner. Now I'm looking ahead. Now we are saving. As in, the saving is not to me a big deal. It's not like as if I've never heard about saving, or I didn't know the importance of saving, but I was just living from, but thank God today. So one mistake we made, or one thing I wish I knew and I was working on.
So we could go on and on, like we always say, but we would like to stop here. And I just want you to also look into your marriage and ask yourself, what are those things that you wished you knew, that if you had to do this again, you will go back and just learn those things. It's not too late. The whole purpose of, look at us today. Sometimes when we say some of the things that we have gone through in our marriage, or we've had to deal with, people are shocked because we don't even look like it. And that is actually what transformation does. it makes you to look far, far better
Yeah.
than where you're coming from. We are far from, our understanding of each other is better. We have less conflicts now. We understand our rhythm. I know when he's triggered, or like before that, when he's triggered, I still want to continue talking. I know when he's triggered and I just go silent, I don't talk, I wait it out. We understand each other better now, and that is what makes for a blissful marriage. So I hope this actually blessed you. Feel free to share this video, and if you have not subscribed, please subscribe so that more people can see this video and also be blessed, impacted by the wisdom that flows from here. All right, so until then, have a wonderful day and stay empowered.
God bless you. Bye.